Thank you and welcome. And so therefore, fellow Africans, being on 3rd of February 2025, I am once again delighted to bring to you our 16th episode of the Change for African campaign. And so therefore, being on a Monday, our theme as usual is about the governance that we want in Africa. Welcome. So therefore, fellow Africans, I am here today to try and articulate where governance is failing in the development of Africa, putting in mind that I've said this before and allow me to reiterate it again, that governance is the software of development in any country, in any organization, or in any continent. And so Africa is an organization, and an organization that is responsible for the lives of the people. And the kind of governance will determine how the people of Africa will live. And so with respect to the recent things that have been happening around the globe, more so specifically on the issue about the United States of America withdrawing from the WHO, or the World Health Organization, and also the same United States of America suspending the funding to the African countries in sectors, more so in the sector of health. That is where we'll be basing our discussion today, and I will be very brief about that because this is an issue that it is like a joke in the African continent. The lives of the people are like a joke in the African continent. And when we speak about the African continent, mostly we speak about the leadership in Africa, because it's about governance then. And so what I want us to see is what really has been developed in Africa, and what has happened in Africa after we have had governance that does not really care for its people in the African continent. Because if critical sectors like health are shaken in a minute time, after a country in a country called United States of America withdrawing from these two, or ceasing to fund or to bring the funds to Africa, that is a very worrying state, and it is actually a tube to Africa that it is time to wake up. It is time to reshuffle our governance and our political systems, because here is an issue of governance, because these are issues that the governance inside the governance systems, it should have been an issue whereby the leaders of Africa should have been taken it to their responsibility. It is an obligatory concern to them that as years progressed since then, they should have put in place very strong interventions and very strong decisions that this is what we are doing. That in case a country like USA, that in case we get a disaster in this critical sector about lives of people, we are able to do it our own. So it is time for African leadership, it is time for African governance to relook within its political and governance system and make sure that we care for our own people. Because when the USA ceased to fund Africa, or when it halted the funding to some of the global countries, those who are vulnerable to things like the HIV and AIDS, what happened? Because Africa is actually the sub-Saharan Africa. It is a continent that we have very many people living with HIV, or the human immunodeficiency virus, around the globe. We hold to a very huge percentage. And the ironic part of it is that you are the people who are facing the huge problem, but then you are also the people who are never prepared as a continent. Imagine 54 sovereign states being shaken by one continent, by one country, which is the United States of America. That is a very worrying state. 54 of us, we are too big for that. That is not where we should be. That is why the Change for African campaign is here, to make sure that the kind of governance that we are facing today, it is something that has been existing since before. It has existed for so long, and it is time for the African youth to wake up and listen to this call. It's a wake-up call for us to make sure that such situations do not repeat themselves 10 years from now. We need to get people who understand and people who are compassionate, people who are visionary about their own countries and about our own continent. And we are visionary about our own continent. We want a great continent, a continent that self-sufficient, a prosperous continent, a united continent that we can do things on our own because we have the ability and we have the potential to do our own thing. So therefore, fellow Africans, I will not want to do more than that. But what I'm saying, that is a wake-up call for Africa. Over-dependence on foreign countries, that should be a sin for Africa. Over-dependence on foreign countries should be a sin for Africa. Africa has its own means of doing it, or has its own ability to do these things. We can do it ourselves because we have what it takes to do what those nations have done. That is only one country shaking 54 sovereign states. You know, that is the puzzle. That is where the puzzle comes in. One country shaking 54 sovereign states. It is very bad. Our governance system is leaking. We have to do something. Thank you. Have a blessed week ahead.